To begin, let me introduce the members of town government that act as advisors to this board. To my left is Paul Hennings, counsel to the board. To his left is David Flynn, assistant planning director. To his left is Tom O'Brien, a planner in the planning department. Now let me tell you why you're here tonight. New York State statute requires that any town that adopts zoning must also have a Board of Appeals to act as a relief valve so that those persons aggrieved by strict application of the zoning ordinance can seek relief without the expense of going to court. Town board can give Board of Appeals additional powers such as special exception approvals, site plan approvals, etc. In Smithtown, the town board has given this board authority regarding certificate of existing use and some special exception uses. The most common kind of application before the board are area variances. Area variants deal with dimensions such as lot area, frontage, height, setbacks, and parking spaces. New York State statute mandates that the board must consider the following 5 criteria and area variances. When you come to the podium to present your application, you need to address these 5 areas. They're posted here for you. Number 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. Number 2, whether the applicant has other feasible alternatives. Number 3, whether the variance is substantial. Number 4, whether an adverse impact on the environment will be created. And number 5, whether the alleged difficulty is self-created. The statute requires the board to balance the interest of the applicant and those of the neighborhood or community. This statute further requires that the board shall grant the minimum variance as shall deem necessary and adequate, and at the same time preserve the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. The board has the power to impose reasonable conditions for granting variances. Special exception applications are different than area variances. When we have a special exception application before us, I will explain the different criteria for each. Regarding procedure, cases will be called in order that they are advertised. When your case is called, please come forward, submit your affidavits and mailing receipts to Mr. O'Brien, and then you will be sworn in at the podium and you will be given the opportunity to explain to the board why you need the variance. After the applicant is done speaking, all interested parties will be given one opportunity and only one opportunity to be heard. So please organize your thoughts, keep your remarks factual that are related to the case. Then I will ask the applicant to come back to the podium to answer your concerns. The board will then close the case and reserve decision. After all the hearings are closed, the board will review the cases and decide some of them. Others will be reviewed at a later date. There are 3 ways to find out the results of the case. Number 1, you can wait until after the public hearing, but there's no guarantee the board will act on your case tonight. Number 2, you can call the planning department tomorrow afternoon. And number 3, applicants can wait and be notified by mail. We do have an adjournment, so I'll tell you what the adjournments are. Case 16666, King Cullen Grocery Corp. has been adjourned to June 12th. However, Mr. Pizzulli?
Vincent Pizzulli, 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Uniondale, New York. My client and myself are here tonight. For anyone who got the notices in the mail who wants to speak to us, we'll be outside in the hallway so we don't disrupt the business of the board. I would also, for the record, like to hand in my affidavit of mailing and respectfully request that we'll repost for the June 12th meeting.
Okay, and make sure, I'm sure that it's, I guess there are 3 postings you have to do, right? 3 sides.
3 sides. For what it's worth, the store manager got confused and posted 2 signs on Washington, one in front of 139 Washington Avenue, one in back of the store. And as it turned out, the severe weather on Sunday night tore down 2 of the signs anyway, so we were...
Okay. Okay, the next case, so if there's anyone interested in King Cullen, you can go out to the library and you can speak with the lawyers if you'd like to. The next case that is adjourned is 16670 Edward Clark. That has been adjourned to May 8th. First case tonight, case 16664, Philip and Marie Callahan, 6 Rainier Place, Wisconsin. Location, south side of Rainier Place, west of Bob Ann Drive, Wisconsin, property zone R10. Come up, please. And bring these things there. Thank you. Request variance to reduce minimum rear yard setback from 50 feet to 38 for an existing 180 square foot addition. Come to the podium, please. Okay. Let me have your name and address, please.
Phil Callahan, 6 Rainier Place. Philip Callahan, 6 Rainier Place, Wisconsin.
Okay. Will you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to tell us why you're here, please?
I have a sunroom in the back that I needed a variance for the setback.
Okay. You want to tell us anything else? Okay. Right. Planning?
No comments, thank you.
Gentlemen? All right. Okay. Thank you.
That's it? Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Gravely moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next case is case 16665, Joyce Zito, 11 Opal Court, Hauppauge. Location, north side of Opal Court, north of Town Line Road, Hauppauge. Property zone R10. You have all your affidavits and everything?
I do. I'd like my architect, Frank Restituto.
No, first of all, let's bring all your paperwork up there, please, if you don't mind. Okay. Just so you can go over it. Property zone R10, request variance to reduce minimum front yard from 40 feet to 35 for proposed 184 square foot covered porch. Now let me have your name.
Joyce Zito.
Use the
Joyce Zito,
mic. And your address, Joyce.
11 Opal Court, Hauppauge.
Okay. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you. Now, would you like this gentleman to speak for you?
I would.
Okay, good. May I have your name and spell your last name for me?
Frank Restituto, Restituto.
And your address, Frank?
18 Crabapple Lane, Comac, 11725.
Okay. Will you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I certainly do.
Thank you. Want to tell us why you're here, please?
Okay, the matter at hand is the construction of a covered front porch addition to an existing residence on the north side of Opal Court in Hauppauge. My client, in an effort to provide a covered entrance to their home and to enhance the appearance of their existing residence, is requesting a relaxation of the front yard setback from 40 feet to 35.3 feet. The original residence was constructed without a covered entrance, and the front entry door is totally unprotected from the elements. As time goes on and age becomes a factor, my client would appreciate the convenience of a covered entrance to be protected from inclement weather when entering their home. Also, it will allow my client the space and opportunity to entertain their grandchildren and guests on the covered front porch, and will allow them to appreciate the view of their front yard while being protected from the elements. The request for a reduction of the front yard setback to by 4.7 feet will in no way have an adverse effect on the natural environment of the property or in any way disturb the visual or aesthetic characteristics of the neighborhood. The porch addition will enhance the appearance of my client's property and will blend well with the adjoining houses and surrounding neighborhood. It is my client's intent not to ever enclose this porch so that the open and spacious appearance of the porch will never be changed. The board is requested to consider favorably on this variance request so that the existing residence can be visually and functionally enhanced.
Thank you. Planning?
Nothing, thank you, Madam Chair.
Gentlemen? Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Is regularly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay. The next case, 16666, King Cullen Grocery, has been adjourned to June 12th. Okay. Next case is case 16667, Tracy and Patrick Ramputo, 8 Superior Court, Smithtown. Location, south side of Superior Court, east of New Highway, Smithtown. Property zone R15. Request variance to reduce side yard setback west from 16 feet to 14 for a proposed 223 square foot attached garage and a 663 square foot second floor addition. Reduces total side yard setback east from 16 feet to 12 for an existing 240 square foot porch. Reduce the total side yards from 34 feet to 26 feet. And your name, please?
Patrick Ramputi,
Right. Put the mic up, so. And your address, please?
8 Supreme Court, Smithtown, New York.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Want to tell us why you're here, please?
Yeah, we are here today to ask permission to build a new garage, first and second floor addition. We will be removing the existing two-car garage, breezeway, and front foyer to do this. We are staying within the current side yard setbacks, which never complied. Our current garage is in bad condition, and our home has become too small with 4 children. We would like to add a family room, 1-car garage, and 2 bedrooms upstairs. In addition, the existing room on the east side of the home has a CO from 1961, but never had a variance for a reduced side yard. The building department has included that in the variance as well.
Planning?
That the, one of the requests is rather substantial. However, I think the circumstances here are rather unique. There are not many properties that back up to the Smithtown bypass and are built on a cul-de-sac. I mean, this is not a typical rectangular lot. Based on those factors, the planning department would recommend approval.
Gentlemen, any?
No question, no.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
It's regularly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next case is case 16668, Charles Simonero, 6 Lawson Avenue, Smithtown. Location, north side of Lawson Avenue, east of Hollick Lock Avenue, Smithtown. Property zone R10. Request variance to permit environmentally sensitive land to be altered. Depth to groundwater less than 10 feet. Increase the FAR from 25% to 100%, 9% if land was not environmentally sensitive. Groundwater less than 10 feet below ground. increase the occupancy of the rear yard from 750 square feet to 769 square feet, existing 482 square feet, and a 287 square foot structures. May I have your name, please?
John Gleason, architect, 336 6th Avenue, St. James.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And I'm sure you have a power of attorney.
I submitted it to the board's attorney, yes, for
Okay,
review.
thank you.
I'm here tonight to represent Charles Seminario of 6 Larson Avenue. I know that the environmentally sensitive land, when you read the advertisement, the property is sitting on high groundwater in that whole neighborhood. We did a test hole, submitted it to the environmental. I'm not sure if they've determined SECRA, a negative SECRA or not. Looks like they have some comments dictated on the sheet here. But about 3 feet below grade is where you hit the water table in this neighborhood and on the property. We're asking for an increase of only 19 square feet beyond the required 750 square feet for accessory structures. You can see the pictures that I submitted, that the accessory structures is a barn and shed pretty much attached to each other. They're going to be rebuilt in place, shown on the plans, and obtain the required building permits if the variance is granted tonight for allowing us to go to rebuild these existing structures, 482 square feet and 287 square feet in the rear yard. I have nothing to really add if there's any questions from the board. As I mentioned, the whole property is 100% into the environmentally sensitive zone.
Yeah, we did visit the property
Yes.
yesterday. Is someone living in this house?
It's a current rental property. The tenant is actually here present. Who is actually going to be probably purchasing the property very shortly.
And that garage is going to be used for what?
Storage of a vehicle and probably some utility, garden tools, things like that. There's some cars in the back. I don't know if you ever got to see it back there. That have to be stored in there. And
Planning?
Just a comment on the groundwater, Madam Chair. Groundwater flooding, as you know, has been a severe problem in some parts of the town of Smithtown, most notably Hauppauge and parts of Nesconset and Ronkonkoma. This area called Halleck Acres also has had groundwater flooding problems. The variances look substantial. However, the proposed addition, when you look at the property, the proposed addition is a very small part of the lot. Second is the additions are really sort of inert with respect to groundwater. It's not like building a house on a small lot where you're importing water from the municipal water system and then disposing it on the site. That's a net transport of water from some other part of town to this part of town. In this situation, the garage and the balcony and stuff like that are really dry. They're not. This would not result in more water being imported to this part of the groundwater regime.
Okay. Thank you. Gentlemen?
No question.
Okay. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
It's really moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Case 16669, Frank Aiello, 27 Elderwood Drive, St. James. Location: northwest corner of Brasswood Road and Elderwood Drive, St. James. Property zone R43. Request variance to increase the maximum square footage of a attached garage from 750 square feet to 903 square feet for a proposed 462 square foot garage addition. Decrease the minimum side yard for a side entry garage from 35 feet to 33 for a side entry garage. And your name, please?
Frank Aiello,
And your name, your address, please?
27 Elderwood Drive in St. James.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. You want to tell us why you're here, please?
I'm a car enthusiast. I have 5 cars, 2 are collectibles, and I want to be able to store them in the garage and also use the garage for my other cars that I drive daily. And I wanted to expand my garage to accommodate 4 cars. When I went to the board, to the building department to request it, I was told that I had to get a variance for the addition because it was bigger than 750 square feet. Also, it was found out that the side yard setback, which is supposed to be 35 feet, is actually 33 feet, and the house is built that way. I didn't know it when I bought it, but apparently when they built it, they didn't check it. So that's why I'm here.
All right. Let me ask you a question. We visited your property.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing with the garage? Are you putting doors on the extension of the garage?
No, I'm just pushing the rear wall back. The existing door is going to remain intact. That will be the only door. The back part, the addition is just going to store the collectible cars. They're not going to be used very much.
I notice you have a lot of cars on your property in the back.
Yeah.
And you are restoring these cars, or?
The 2 that are in the back are junk cars that I'm getting rid of, actually. But that's not the reason for these. It's for my Corvette and my Avenger, the cars that I want to store in this new addition.
You don't repair these cars on your, do you?
I work on my own cars, yes.
Planning?
Based on the site inspection, we saw more paving in the field than we did on the plan submitted with the application.
Mhm.
Also, the plan submitted with the application doesn't show any proposed paving, but presumably there would be some to get from the existing asphalt to the proposed garage. I just did a quick sketch over here. It appears that if the board granted the variance tonight, the property owner wouldn't be able to pave between the existing pavement and the garage. Okay. Also, the existing situation doesn't comply with the zoning ordinance. I didn't check to see if it predates the requirement. I think these homes were developed somewhere about like 1987 or so, 88, I'm not sure exactly. The requirement that limited pavement was adopted, I believe, in October of 1989. So I'm not sure if you recall where the fence was at the end of the driveway, then there was pavement beyond that next to the neighbor. I don't know if that was added at the same time. When we got back from the site inspection, I did not have the time to look at aerial photographs or any other records. But the board might want to take that into consideration in deciding the application.
I'm not looking into adding any pavement, though. There'll be no access to the new addition except through the front door, the existing garage door.
But there is paving behind that fence, am I correct?
Yeah.
Where you have those cars.
Right, but that is not going to access the existing garage, the additional garage.
I understand. I wasn't clear. There are 2 points. One is that later on, if you changed your mind, you wouldn't be able to pave between the garage and the pavement. The second thing is at first glance, it appears that the extra paving behind the fence might not be legal. It certainly doesn't comply with the requirement. What I don't know is whether it predates the requirement or was built afterward. And my thought in bringing it up is if you wanted to legalize it, it's usually easier to do it now than later. Although at this point, it's almost a 50-50 split as to which way is harder or easier.
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking, but
Well,
But-
it's just to be blunt, it looks like the pavement behind the fence might not be legal.
okay.
And if the board acted on the variance with what you were seeking tonight, it's still illegal.
Okay.
And if you wanted to legalize it rather than make a new application, it might be better to adjourn this, modify the application, and then come back. But the town's not in the position to force you to do that.
I see.
I mean, if you want to handle it at a different date, it's your call.
If I choose to adjourn it and I just have to resubmit paperwork to,
It's easier for me to say that because we do paper for a living. But it would involve sending out the letters again, reposting the property, the 2 new affidavits, modifying the questions on the form so as to put that in, modifying the denial, things like that. It's a lot of paperwork from your side, I presume. The question is, if you did it sometime, if you didn't want to address it tonight, it might come back to haunt you later on. On the other hand, I haven't had a chance to try to come to an opinion as to whether or not this lawfully existed prior to the restriction in the zoning ordinance, or whether it was built after 1989.
okay,
If it were me, I'm not sure what I would do.
yeah. I guess I'll adjourn and then we'll try and address that.
Okay.
Having said that, just like with all variances, there's no guarantee the board will approve it. Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Do you know if it was built after 1989?
Yeah, I would say it was.
Thanks. Trying to save you some time.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to adjourn it to, I'll go May 22nd. That should give you time to fill out the paperwork and resend your letters,
Okay.
okay? But let me see if there's anyone here that wants to speak first. Okay? So why don't you just sit for a minute and let me see if there's anyone. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Okay. It has been adjourned to May 22nd. All right? The next case is case 16670, which has been adjourned to May 8th. Was there anyone interested in that case? Okay. Next case is case 16671, David Harnett, 126 Hobson Avenue, St. James, location west side of Hobson Avenue, north of Middle Country Road, St. James, property zone R21. Request variance to decrease the minimum lot area from 21,780 square feet to 16,950 square feet for proposed 3,435 square foot dwelling. And your name, please?
David Harnett,
And your address, David?
126 Hobson Avenue, St. James.
Okay. Yeah.
The what?
Did you? Good. Okay. Okay. And will you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Want to tell us why you're here?
I'm here to request permission to build a new home. Me and my wife purchased the location, you know, in hopes to, because we love the area, to raise a family someday. You know, we felt it was a little too small to do that. So, not to mention, it was infested with termites and asbestos. So we felt the best thing to do was to tear it down and start anew.
Okay.
That's it.
Planning? Gentlemen? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Rarely moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Case 16672, Cellular Sales, 2020 East Jericho Turnpike, locations outside of Jericho Turnpike, west of Mayfair Terrace, Comac Property Zone CB. Request variance to increase the height of a wall sign from 15 feet to 19, increase the area of wall signs from 125 square feet to 248 square feet. Permit a wall sign not to face a public street, increase the number of wall signs from 1 to 2.
Donald King, 75 East Main Street, Kings Park, New York, attorney for the applicant. This board granted us a variance for a sign in the front of the building on November 28, 2011. After they put that sign up, they decided that they would need another sign facing the side of the building, and I went down today to the site, and I just want to give you an idea of some of the signs that are in that shopping center. Capital One Bank has 3 signs, one in the front, one east and west. I'm getting an eye. MJM has 2 signs, one in the front and one on the side.
Say that again?
MJM, that's a store as you come into the right. I got a variance for that building from this board for the sign on the side. Outback has 3 signs, one in the front, one in east and west. People's National Bank has 3 signs, front, back, and west. There are 13 signs on the east side of the property in various stores. There are 16 signs on the south side of the shopping center property. But I'd like you to concentrate on the signs that I gave you in the beginning. Those are all buildings that are at the front of the shopping center. 3, 2, 3, and 3, and we're merely asking for that which the other people in the shopping center have. This will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, in that you have buildings along Jericho that have 2 and 3 signs. Can the benefit be sought by some other method? No, we have to come in for the variance. Is it substantial? It's not substantial if you look at it from the perspective of those other buildings that have 3 signs. Will it have an adverse effect on the environment? Absolutely not. And whether it's self-created is not, because we're asking you for relief.
Okay. Let me ask you, that the signs that you said, Capital Bank and everything out back, are they, the ones that are not facing a public street, are they 248 square feet, or are they smaller than that?
I didn't measure them. I just took a look. I didn't measure the signs.
Okay.
They need this sign because it's their logo, and the sign that you granted in the front is a handsome sign, and they need the, I know how I always tell people it's easier to get a bank robber off than it is to get a sign from the Zoning Board of Appeals sometimes, but
yeah,
that's their logo, and this is not overdoing it if you take it in the perspective of all those signs in the shopping center. They need the business. This is tough times, and we'd ask your consideration.
Okay. Planning?
Uh-oh.
I think ordinarily the planning department would recommend against it because the proliferation of signs in the long run is not good for the town's image. However, I think the board granted similar relief for the other pad buildings on this property, on this Mayfair Shopping Center site. And I think that you're kind of required to give similar relief unless you find one of two things. One is that the circumstances are different, or you'd have to articulate in detail why you feel the board erred in approving the other signs.
Do you know what the signs, the measurement of the other signs were?
I don't. I would recommend that the board be consistent and be proportional, that Verizon shouldn't get preferential treatment over the other businesses. But, you know, like I said, if this were, if no variances had been granted, I don't think it's a good idea. And it's still not a good idea, but I think he has the right to similar treatment.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you why it says Suffolk County Planning pending?
I guess we haven't heard from them. That's unusual. They usually get back to us in time.
If it was CEQA, I would understand it because they never have a CEQA during my lifetime. But Suffolk County Planning, I mean, it's we really don't want to delay here unless it's because it's along 25.
Well, if I
They
could-
can't, and I believe that Suffolk County Planning can't possibly look at all the variants that are applied for in Suffolk County and do a proper job. I think it's nonsense that you have to wait on them.
I have two comments about it. One is it's a requirement of general municipal law that you have to wait a certain time frame. I think it's 45 days or whatever it is, a certain time frame. The second comment is, based on my experience in over 20 years in working here, I really doubt they're going to get back to you with a negative recommendation. So I don't think that.
But we don't have the authority to act
No,
without.
I'm not urging you to act. I'm just saying I would anticipate that whenever their decision gets here, it'll probably either be something that's so minor they call it a local determination, or they would recommend approval.
And you don't see anything in the file from them?
You want me to write something in there that it's okay?
Don't do it. Okay.
It's not your fault, I understand. That's why the country's in failure.
All right, you know, let's see if we can do it by the next meeting,
Thank you very much.
all right? Is there any way of calling?
Sure, not tonight.
No, not tonight.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. Was there anyone here would like to, is there anything you'd like to have said? No? Is there anyone here that would like to be heard? Come up, please. May I have your name, please?
Sebastian Piccioni. I reside at 65 Arena Drive, McCormack.
Okay, spell your last name, please.
Piccione.
All right. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
My house, or my dwelling, is east of the Verizon building. It's probably within 50 or 60 feet of the building. I'm just guessing or estimating how far. All the signs he mentioned facing was within hundreds of feet from any house. Our bedrooms are right alongside the Verizon building. I had gone there earlier today and asked them where the signs were going, and they couldn't help me. They said that they didn't know where the signs were going, and I really had to go to this meeting to find out. If they light up the east side of the building, the sign will be actually glowing into our bedrooms. And the way he described it, he stated that it's not going to interfere with any houses. That is not true. He should have stated there was a house alongside. And in that whole shopping center, there's probably not one sign that's within hundreds of feet of any dwelling. Even though he described them on other buildings. They're in the center of the shopping center or to an end of a shopping center where there's a Jiffy Lube or something. But there's nothing by houses. So it's kind of fictitious that he said that it's not going to interfere with houses. And it wasn't really called for that they couldn't tell me where the signs were going to go. If they would have said the left side of the building or the west side, I wouldn't be here right now.
All right, let me make sure that I'll have Mr. King come back to the podium and answer your concern.
Thank you.
Let me see, is there anyone else? Okay. Mr. King?
It's on the west side of the building.
Okay,
They couldn't tell me that though prior to me coming to the meeting.
I'm sorry. Okay,
Because I would definitely be against any lighting on the east side. Because it would light up my backyard
okay,
and plus my bedrooms.
thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Anyone else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Really moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Next case is case 16673, Gary Nill, 27 Oak Lawn Street, St. James. Location, east side of Oak Lawn Avenue, south of Valleywood Road, Comac, property zone R21. Request variance for special exception to permit living quarters for a parent. Special exception to permit a temporary living dwelling unit greater than 600 feet to 630 square feet. Special exception to allow a separate outdoor entrance on the front of the residence. To waive the standard that requires the use to be economically and practical to convert back to a single resident. To permit 2 dwellings on a R21 lot. To permit a private garage floor area within a dwelling to exceed 750 square feet to 956 square feet. Fine. Okay? Oh yeah, we just need the folder.
Steve. I know him. Hey, Steve.
Take this and I'll open this. Okay. Okay. Let me have your name and address, please.
My name is Gary Nill, 25 Mowbray Lane, Smithtown, New York, 11787.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
All right, you want to tell us why you're here?
Good evening. I'm here to request a variance for special exceptions to permit living quarters for a parent. I request a special exception for living quarters for Gary's mother-in-law. The reason why I'm requesting this is she is getting on in age and she needs to take medication and is more comfortable living where people can watch over her and prefers to be with her family at this stage of her life. I am in contract to build this house for the Catanias. They've come to me to build this, and this is, I guess, the first one. I guess this is number 1. There's a couple of them. I think there's 6 of them.
6 what?
There's 6.
Who will own the property? Who owns it now? Who will live there, and who will live in the apartment?
I own the property for many years. I rent the house out for many years. I am in contract now to build a house for the for Gary and Lisa Catania and their mom,
Okay.
Gary's mother-in-law.
So you're going to sell the house to the Catanias? Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, I am going to build it for them
Okay.
under Gary Neal Construction.
Okay.
I am the owner of Gary Neal Construction.
Right. And you own the property today?
I own the property today.
And they're under contract to buy it, I presume?
Yes,
Okay. And they will live there?
they will live there.
Thank you.
So what I'm requesting is for the mom to live there with them.
Who's living in the house right now? The other.
Right now, they are rented. They are moving out in like 15 days.
Okay.
I didn't get to that stage.
Go
My
ahead.
first thing is for the mom. Okay. Number 2, special exception permit, separate temporary dwelling greater than 600 to 630. I feel that asking for 630 shouldn't be a big impact, and it's just giving her a little bit more room on the first floor. And I think you have a copy of that floor plan.
Mhm. I- Just a couple of things, I guess.
Do you want me
Why do you need that house, that's there now, to stay? Why can't it be demolished if it's being rented out?
Because I need it for,
What?
I needed to use bathroom, and I needed to use electric. The house is gonna be set back. There's been a lot of robberies going on in this town, and there may have to be security. I'm gonna use that. I'm there all the time. It doesn't make sense. I'm under guidelines. I have to deliver this house in December, before the holidays. It's in contract. I'm a very good builder. As you see, I built numerous homes on that block. They used to be all little bungalows, and I don't know if you were down that road.
We visited.
I built 4 of those houses. I'm very good at what I do.
I'm not questioning that. It's just that when a builder comes in to build a home, he doesn't have to have a second house on the property to build a
I
home.
may have to put in a lot of overtime to deliver this house. Things have been bad. As you know, the last 4 years, I got to roll. I may be staying there, putting in more time, whatever I need to do. It doesn't make sense to get rid of that house right now. I use it as my office. I use it as, I can lock up things. I can use the bathroom. I could use the facilities. It would just be so much easier for me.
How long is it going to take you to build this house?
I have to deliver it by December.
This December?
Yes, that's landscaped, done, complete.
Okay.
And if you see some of the landscaping on that block, I did most of it.
Now, the other question I have is why can't you turn this back into a single?
I didn't get to that point yet.
Go ahead.
Okay, special exception outside. Okay, special exception to allow separate outside entrance on this front of the residence. I feel this is not out of character of the neighborhood, for this is not a main front door. It is a side front door entry that could easily be removed. It needed to be converted back to a one-family home. Very simple. If needed. It's not really out of character with the neighborhood. If there's a couple of 2-3 houses down on the right that has a front door entry. 2 of them. So it's really not out of character. And we're not looking at it directly, we're looking at it from the side. So you're not really seeing it from the front.
All right, let me go to planning, and then I may have another. Planning?
Okay, a few things. We did analysis of this. For reasons that don't concern you, we did not finish the report in time to mail it last Thursday, but it's basically done. In looking at the special exception, it seems to meet most of the standards except for the ones mentioned in the public notice. We recommend approval. We recommended approval of the variances dealing with the temporary living quarters. The increase in the floor area of the apartment is really de minimis. The variance to allow the second front door, we recommend approval because it doesn't look like a front door. It faces the side. It's, you know, toward the front of the house, but it doesn't face the street. We recommend approval of the variance that says that it has to be economical and practical to convert the use back to a single-family dwelling, because it appears, I have to say, based on experience of senior people like me who have seen a lot of these, this is one of the easiest to convert back. I'm not sure why the denial said that this is not economical or practical to convert back to a dwelling. It appears that all they have to do is basically put in an archway between one of the rooms in the apartment and the rest of the dwelling unit, and it pretty much functions as a single-family home. The second part has to do with the variance to have two houses on a lot. We don't recommend approval on that, not because we think it's a good idea or a bad idea, but because legally under New York State town law, this would appear to be a use variance, because in the list of prohibited uses in the town of Smithtown zoning ordinance, it says a separate dwelling that doesn't have its own frontage. So this is a prohibited use. And according to New York State town law, the variance to grant a use variance, to grant a use variance, the board must determine that 4 tests are met. There's no balancing of 5 considerations, but a board of appeals anywhere in the state would have to determine that the circumstances are unique, that the property cannot be reasonably used for any use permitted in the zoning district, and the board has to have what they call dollars and cents proof. That's a quote, dollars and cents proof that the property cannot be reasonably used for any use permitted in the zoning district. The third test is that it can't alter the essential character of the district. And then the fourth test is that that any practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship in complying with the zoning ordinance is not self-created. And it seems difficult to impossible to imagine that all 4 of those tests are met. So unless you determine they're met, we recommend denial. There was one other variance. It was to exceed for a variance that doesn't deal with the 2 special exceptions, the one having to do with the size of the garage, a variance to increase the garage from 750 to 956 square feet. We recommended approval on that based on the character of the area. As you know, we inspected the neighborhood with you. The garage exists today. They're not proposing to remove it. They merely want to build a house connected to it. Collectively, in the staff's opinion, it seems like it would fit in the character of the area. One last comment is the board can't approve anything tonight because the town environmental department has not made a recommendation to you regarding SECRA. I think you have a memo. Is there a memo on this one where they want to read the minutes of the hearing? Even though planning is prepared to make a recommendation, legally you're allowed to deny it, but I don't think the board would want to deny the whole thing. I think that there are certainly at least some parts that you would want to approve, and so therefore you need to wait for DEW's recommendation concerning compliance with the State Environmental Quality Review Act.
That's what they're waiting for, is the transcript.
They want to read the minutes, correct?
Okay. Gentlemen, any other questions?
Lady Chairman, in the past, I've been in front of you. Before you allowed me a house to stay up, and I built a house behind that. It's been done before. I really would appreciate it if you could help me with that. It's very important that that stays for now. And that's all I'm requesting.
Okay.
Believe me, it will be bulldozed down when it's supposed to be, and everything will be taken care of. Just like the other one I did.
Okay. All right. We'll take it
Okay,
into
thank you.
consideration. Thank you. You
Thank
know
you.
there's no, until we get a secret, there's no,
Now, I didn't even know what that was all about.
that's the environmental department, is DW, it's Howard Barnett, he will read the transcript and make a decision as far as the environmental part of it,
And how come that wasn't done?
because he wanted to read the transcript. It happens many times.
Oh, does it? And when am I going to hear about all this? I mean,
As soon as we get the transcript,
how long does that
I mean, as
normally?
soon as he makes that decision, we will make a decision.
Which is when? We don't know.
I have no idea.
I mean, we've been in a recession for 4 years. I have, you know what I'm saying? It's been rough out there. We finally have something.
Well, I know
that
he
we
has to,
can-
they have to wait for the health department also.
I already have my stuff in for the health department. I understand that. I work with the building department. So, I don't know, whatever. But, you know, there is troubled times out there. And we need to act and move fast.
Thank
That's
you.
all. Thank you very much.
Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Yes. Come up, please. 1 to 2 people. Go ahead. We'll take one at a time. Move the mic down for yourself, please. May I have your name, and you're going to spell your last name?
Carol Mazenga, Mazzenga,
And your address, please?
88 Wine Dance Boulevard.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
You want to tell us? What?
I live directly in back of the property that you were just talking about.
Yes.
He has a big house, a little house, and a 4-car garage. Where is he going to put this other building?
It's attached to that garage.
But the garage is closer to the back of the property, which would make the character of my property not
Well,
very nice.
It looks like it's 190 feet away. The house will be 190 feet away from his property line, if I'm
I
not
just
mistaken.
think it would ruin the whole appearance of the neighborhood even.
Okay. All right.
Okay?
Thank you. Wait a minute. No, let this gentleman come up and speak, and then I'll let you come up and speak. May I have your name, please?
Edward Koenig,
And your, spell your last name?
Koenig,
And your address, please, Edward?
16 William Avenue, East Islip, New York.
Okay,
My father,
raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
yes, I do.
Thank you.
My father actually lives on the property to the direct left of the subject property. I originally came here after reading the proposal, the advertised proposal and the mailing, thinking that they were going to be putting up like a 2-family house or 2 separate permanent 2-family dwellings. But after listening to the clarification, I understand what he's trying to do. Mr. Neal already put a house on Mowbray once with a similar situation where there was a house existing. He kept it there to use it as a construction trailer, basically. And once he was finished with the house in the rear, he knocked the other house down. I can understand where he's coming from. It would be easier to knock the house down and just put up a temporary mobile trailer. But I can also understand in this economy, he wants to try and save a couple of bucks. So I can understand where he's coming from. I would think that the town can put some kind of wording into his building permit that says he won't get a CO for the main building in the rear of the property until he knocks down the first building. So I don't really see that as a problem for him getting approval.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay, now come up, please. May I have your name, please?
Yes, Anthony Mazenga,
Okay, and your address, Anthony.
88 Wine Dance Boulevard.
Okay, raise your right hand.
Good. I'm very happy
Raise
that...
your right hand, please.
Oh, I'm
right hand.
sorry.
Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
I'm glad you...
It's the same spelling as, all right?
I'm very happy that you brought up the point about environmental. If you take a look at the property, you'll find that he's at a peak where most of the rainwater that comes down right through our property, house, and so forth. So that needs to be addressed, and I appreciate the fact that you did bring that up. The second point I want to bring out, it seems to me that we're putting on more buildings on this property where there already is a lot, and for a purpose that can be probably solved in another way. And I don't see why it's important to do it just this way rather than doing it another way. It could be just as cheap, and I don't think it's a question of expense. It's just a question, our objection right now is building more buildings on the property.
Okay,
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Donna Jocelyn.
Spell your last name, Donna.
Joslyn.
And your address?
23 Oak Lawn Drive,
Okay.
Comac.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes. Our house is directly to the right of the property, and where he wants to build the house is kind of in my backyard. Like when you come out my back door, right to the left is where that garage is. So I'm just concerned about how close to the property line it's going to be, you know, if it's going to be obstructive to my yard.
16.8 feet away from the property line.
And that's zoning law?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep, he's not asking for any setbacks.
okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, good evening.
Yes.
Name's Philip Endres, E-N-D-R-E-S,
And your address, please?
90 Wine Dance Boulevard, Comac.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
My question was, I didn't see any plans for this house. I was wondering how high it is.
Excuse me. Just
I'm
address
sorry.
this.
How high and how much square footage is the total house?
Well, the house, I believe, he doesn't need a variance for the house, and he
Okay.
doesn't need a variance of the square footage of the house.
So you don't have the square footage? This,
Let me see if I have the square footage. Is it on the sheet here at all? Do you know what the square footage is?
I think Gary just mentioned it's 3,700?
Okay.
Well, that was my question. The other was about how far it's set back. The property is fairly deep. I'm right behind him directly. And from what I understand, it's 190 feet from my property line?
Are you you're behind him, right?
Number 90.
Yep, 190 feet.
Okay. And any other buildings that have variances? He has a garage on the side? That's going to be attached to the house?
The house will be attached to the garage.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay? Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Regularly moved in second. All. Oh, did you want to come back up? Go ahead.
Talked
Go ahead.
in the beginning.
You don't address this board.
I started building houses back in 1989 on that block. I made the block. And I don't think it's right that you accuse me of something like that.
Okay.
I'm a good guy, I work hard, I do the best I can for everybody. I'm also the roofer who roofed Insignia Steakhouse. I'm very good.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Has nothing to do with it. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
You really moved to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. And what does that have to do with it? Huh? Yeah. Next case is case 16674, William and Kathleen Polkowski, 9 Garden Lane, Comac. Location, north side of Garden Lane, west of Park View Drive, Comac, property zone R10. Request variance, reduce the front yard setback from 40 feet to 34 for a proposed 250 square foot porch. Reduce the side yard setback from 12 feet to 9 feet for a total side yard from 28 feet to 23 for a proposed 330 square foot first floor addition and a 1,290 square foot second floor addition. Increase the FAR from 25% to 30%. Increase the paving in the front yard from 25% to 28% existing. Increase the paving in the side yard from 25% to 69% existing. Reduce accessory structure setback from 6 feet to 4 for an existing 96 square foot shed. Hello. And your name, please?
My name is Vincent Franchi. I'm the architect.
Do you have power of attorney?
The owner had signed the owner's endorsement, and the owners are here tonight, both William and
I need
Kathleen
the owner
Polkowski.
first.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. May I have your name, please?
Kathleen Pilkowski,
Your address, Kathleen?
9 Garden Lane, Comac.
Okay. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I do. Now, would you like this gentleman to speak for you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, may I have your name and address, please?
Name is Vincent Franchi. I'm the architect for the project. The address is 89 Route ROOT Avenue, Islip, New York.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but
Yes,
the
I do.
truth? Do you need the spelling of the last name? He needs the spelling of the last name.
Franchi. Madam Chair, members of the board, we're here tonight to look for relaxation to the various aspects of the zoning code. Is it okay if I pull this out from here?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay, on our site plan, we're actually looking for relaxation of front, side, and lot coverage are our main areas. What I've highlighted here is what you're seeing in the yellow is our existing, the original footprint of the existing building. We're asking for a front porch that projects 5 feet off the original building and approximately about 330 square feet of additional first floor area. And then we're removing 30 square feet of various aspects of the first floor, such as here and by the garage, to push the new garage set back. In essence, what we're doing is basically taking the existing garage and shifting it over 6 feet to the side, which basically reduces us from back down to a remaining of 9 feet. However, the property is not a rectangular piece of property. It angles off to the one side, and it's also, the lot itself just meets the lot coverage as far as a standard lot in the area, and it is one of the smaller lots in the community. So therefore, by just doing a minor, what we're considering a minor expansion of the first floor footprint, we're also able to get a major second floor for a 1,200 square foot area. But the relaxation we're asking for is basically from 40 on the front yard to 34. We have reviewed other properties in the area, both on Pickwick, Apple, and Shirley. And we have found that this board has granted previous variances that have reduced the front yard to 33 feet, so we feel we're not setting a precedent here with a 34-foot plus front yard. Also, on the side yard to the west, we're basically going from 15.5 feet to 9 feet. And again, we feel that's not setting a precedent because this board has in the past in the neighborhood granted side yard setbacks of 8.5 feet. Also, we're going from 25-foot FAR, 25% FAR, which is required, to now 30% FAR, again, conforming to other properties in the neighborhood. Other aspects are, we have an existing shed, 96 square feet, currently not meeting the proper setback for 6 feet. We're at 4+ on each of the side, both the north and the east. On the front yard setback, on the front yard lot coverage, or paving coverage, which I guess is originally was 25, we're now going down, we're now increasing that, requesting for 28. The main reason is we're losing some of our front yard to create the porch, and due to that 5-foot area, we're also taking away some paving on the side, but we now, with the new front walkway, we're going to be coming up to the 28. But again, our overall front yard has reduced, which has basically kicked in the requirement of increasing us by 3% there. On the east side, the existing paving is almost, we're basically asking for 69%. But however, the house was built in 1959. The current owners have owned the house approximately 10 years. The patio appears to have been built roughly when the house was built, which probably predates the paving code aspect of the zoning code. We feel we're not substantial, and we're not going to create additional impact on the surrounding properties because we are, if you had an opportunity to drive through the community, you saw some other houses that have recently had some major extensions and additions, and we feel the design aspect is conforming with the style of the neighborhood and the size of some of the other houses that have been expanded in the neighborhood. Also, the proposed alterations, I'm sorry, the benefit, I'm just going to read basically from your chart. Okay, this is where I need to get used to my glasses. Thank you. The proposed alterations and additions are in line with the other expanded homes in the neighborhood. Also, the benefit cannot be achieved because of alternate requirements, mainly because, again, the lot size is the minimum lot size required, and the property line kind of cuts back at the angle. I'd just like to point out that the point we're asking for relaxation is really from the front corner of the garage, 9 feet to the property line. In the back, because of the angle, that will be approximately 12 feet. Also, the variance is not going to have an adverse effect on the environment because, again, the overall first floor footprint, it's not a major addition. We're only adding approximately 300 square feet to the overall first floor footprint. And again, we feel it was not self-created because the side yard is basically at that angle and due to the limited lot size. I mean, we're basically exactly at that requirement. So at this point, to meet the owner's requirements and to expand the house instead of moving and relocating to an additional neighborhood, I'd like to just show you some of the aesthetics. What you can see here is roughly, this is the existing footprint of the house. The main floor, 1,000 square feet, 200+ square foot garage. This is the basement area. This is what we're proposing, the 5-foot projection off the front for the porch, shifting the garage from this area over 6 feet to there, and then bumping out anywhere from 3 feet to 5 feet across the back and to the side. And then this would be the second floor, which is basically, we have 2 cathedral areas, so we're actually about 350 square feet less because we have 2-story spaces, but overall it counts to our square footage. The overall aesthetic, we're looking at a composite siding, second floor, gables, return gables, front porch, again, keep a covered entry, keep access from the garage directly to the house through the front porch. And at this point, I'd just like to open up to any other questions.
No, let's just see if there's anything from planning. Planning? Gentlemen?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Regularly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Next case is case 16675, Gavin Scott Development Corp., 24 Locust Street, Smithtown. Location, west side of Locust Street, north of Oak Street, Nesconset. Property zone R10. Request variance, reduce the minimum required lot area from 10,000 square feet to 6,250 square feet. Reduce the minimum lot frontage at setback line from 75 feet to 50. Reduce the minimum side yard setback from 12 feet to 9. Reduce the minimum total side yards from 28 feet to 18. Reduce the rear yard setback from 50 feet to 39. Increase the maximum permitted gross floor area from 25% to 36% for a 2,225 square foot, two-story dwelling. Right, and your name, please?
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tremarco Jr. I represent the applicant. I've provided a handout for you to look through while we go through the hearing. And the first thing I want to point out to you is the existing structure on the property. You can see a nice picture of it right there.
Yeah, we were there yesterday.
It's been there for quite a while. It's creating quite an eyesore in the neighborhood. My client was able to purchase it, and we hope that the board will allow us some relief so we can put something nice there. And if you go to the next page in your little packet, you can see the proposed dwelling, what the front elevation is going to look like. We designed the house to be as small as we could fit on the, as big as we could fit on the lot, and still make sense and still look good, and obviously a lot better than what's there. But based on the fact that you're selling a new home in the town, you want to make it saleable. So you want something substantial, a place people can put their families, and so on and so forth. The next survey that you'll see, I just want to go over the layout of what's existing in relation to what we're proposing and why we set up the lot the way we did. If you look at the existing structure, it's kind of staggered on the lot, doesn't make much sense. One side you have a setback of 6.3 feet. On the other side, on the south side, you have a setback of 12.2 feet. So right now, the eyesore structure is still close to the property lines. Obviously, it's not in any condition to do much with at all, other than completely renovate and build something, and frankly, that makes no economic sense whatsoever. And if you go to the next survey, you'll see how the new house would sit on the property. We evened out the front yard and the backyard. We made the rear yard actually more usable. The front yard's still substantial, although because of the R10 zoning, we need some relief there also. Really, this situation exists because this lot and the house existed prior to code, and the town instituted R10 zoning sometime later on. And if you go to the next handout, you'll see our little map of the neighborhood with, in red, all the square footages of the surrounding lots. Everything that you see there is a current single-family residence. As you can see, some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger. In that area of town, you have property, sizes that vary greatly. It's a really nice neighborhood. It's a nice, quiet neighborhood, and, we just want to help improve on it. Just go through the criterion real quick. It's not going to be an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. Obviously, it's going to be a severe change to the better. There would not be any detriment to the nearby properties, considering what's there, and building a new home and increasing property values. I believe it would be a great benefit to the neighboring properties. The benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method feasible to the applicant. Well, this property is substandard. It's not going to be you can't make it any bigger. So in order to obtain maximum value and actually improve on the neighborhood, the only way to do it is to grant the variance to build something that makes sense. I don't believe the variance is substantial. If you look at the surrounding neighborhood, the fact that this lot existed prior to code, it was R10 the R10 zoning was brought on subsequent to the lot being built, and to keep up with the economy the way it is, you need to put something on there that's different than what's there. I mean, if you fixed up the existing shack, nobody would buy it, and frankly, it wouldn't do any good for the town to have that there, and the neighbors also. Whether the proposed variance would have any adverse effect on the physical or the physical impact of the neighborhood, the environmental conditions in the neighborhood. It's a single-family dwelling. It'll have no greater or worse impact. In fact, what's there is probably creating a negative impact on the environment. Certainly is. You have a house that's obviously dangerous. It's been fenced in. There's a hole in the roof. Gosh knows what's going on and what's leaking into the ground now. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, the difficulty was created by the fact that this lot existed prior to the zoning code. So the lot's single and separate. You'd need a variance to do anything there, even if you were to try to rebuild what's there. So it really makes sense for the board to grant our application. Understanding the FAR is probably the most glaring relief that we're asking for, but it wouldn't be necessary if the lot was, obviously the lot was bigger, but the lot size is what it is, and it won't be developed properly unless this type of FAR variance was granted. Any questions?
I do have a question.
Certainly.
Just clarification.
Sure.
I see there's only one garage door, but when I look at this, it says a two-car garage.
It does?
Yeah.
Well, that's wrong. That's a single-car garage.
All right, because I was going to say,
Where
are
does
you
it say
putting
that,
one
Madam
car
Chairwoman?
behind?
It says it on the application?
No, on your plan.
On the plans.
It doesn't appear to me to be a two-car garage. The way it looks is the way it's going to look when it's completed. There's no room there for a two-car garage. Yeah, that's probably some typo.
Okay. Because I was going to say, are you putting one car behind the other? You can't.
No,
You
no,
can't
not
do
at
that.
all. Not at all. We were happy we could fit a garage there. Obviously, a garage makes the house more saleable.
Okay. Planning?
Okay, after we went out in the field yesterday, or when we were out there, you would express some concern with respect to the FAR. So we went back and we did an analysis of the 10 closest properties to the subject property, and we put in your packet a chart, a graph, depicting the lot area and the FAR. And as you can see, there's basically a loose relationship between floor area ratio and lot area, where the range of the existing houses is from 32 to 12%, and the proposal's at 36. It would seem that this one is out of character with the area a little bit. I think if you rigidly followed the character of the area, not the average, but the largest FAR, and applied this graph to it, the FAR that you would approve would be 30%. I think planning's recommendation would be that the board should probably approve something on the order of 30 to 32% to be in character with the neighborhood.
Just to address Dave's comments, we understand that, and if the board, I would ask the board to grant as much FAR as they possibly can, just to, you know, make this house as livable and saleable as possible. Obviously, to gain a couple of percentage points lower is not going to be a real problem to adjust the plan in that regard. So I would ask the board to consider that, obviously consider approving our application as it stands, but in the event we need to give up a couple of percentage points.
Madam Chair, I forgot to say, we certainly welcome the redevelopment of the property and the provision of a new house. And if the applicant had to comply with the letter of the law, except for frontage and lot area, they would be limited to a house 23 feet wide by 35 feet deep. And that would come up to an FAR of 26%. And while that technically is feasible, I think it would enhance the neighborhood to allow a little more FAR so that the house could have some nooks and crannies and character to it.
I agree with Mr. Flynn.
Okay. If we went to 32%, what would be the square footage?
2,000.
2,000? And let me ask you another question. Is the attic space in this 2225?
As best as I can tell, it was not. I mean,
It was not. We kept the attic down to where it wouldn't count as FAR.
Okay.
As space, square footage.
You have on your plan here that it's 1,055 first floor, 1,038 second floor.
Right.
I know Mr. Bongino's not here, but obviously they're calculating something else in there.
Yeah, because I only get 2,009.
In the file, I think, the denial, it breaks down the square footage. The building department's denial, I guess, has calculations.
The garage possibly is not in that?
I would expect that the attic is low, but it looks like a small sliver of the center of the attic meets the definition of floor area.
And that would account for 200 square feet?
No, it's about 170, I think.
Let me just see what.
I'm not sure where they picked up that square footage.
Okay, they have the first floor as 1,055. They have the second floor as 1,038. And they have the attic at 132.
We could probably kill that 132 somehow.
That's how they got it.
That doesn't seem like a big adjustment, so.
So if they didn't, it's just that if they.
I don't know if it would amount to,
For
I'm
you to
sorry.
get rid of that 132 square feet, you'd have to drop the pitch of the roof, which is going to make the house look a little bit
Yeah.
kind of silly.
I would say, I understand the FAR situation. I mean, we really scaled down the house to the point where we didn't want to compromise its livability. And because of the nature of the lot that we're dealing with, it seems like an extreme FAR request. But you have to look at the neighborhood, you have to look at the lot itself and the cards that we were dealt, so to speak.
I also think if you take the attic out of the equation and assume that from an aesthetic standpoint, it would be desirable to grant that variance, and just forget about it for the moment. I believe what is the house, 2,085 square feet?
So, yeah, exactly.
So if the board felt it was important to nickel and dime, for lack of a better term, there are probably a sliver here, a sliver there would 85 square feet is really almost nothing in a two-story house.
Yeah.
And that argument goes either way.
Yeah, in that regard, you might as well leave it alone, because it's really not going to make much of a difference in the look of the house. You're just kind of taking square footage away to meet a percentage.
Okay. Any other questions, gentlemen?
No question.
Okay. All right, thanks. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? All right, come up, please, one at a time, if you don't mind.
Hello.
May I have your name, please?
Yes, my name is Robert Deemer. I'm at 22 Locust Street.
All right, spell your last name, please.
D-I-E-M as in Mary, E-R.
Okay, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, you want to tell us?
I was just curious. I understand the percentage. I also had gone through this process, and my percentage was around 27%. And what came into effect was my shed and the effect that I was going to have a deck on the front of the house for aesthetics. That also came into the FAR because I wanted to have a roof on it. I was just curious if the client is going to have a shed in the backyard as well, and how much of an impact am I going to see of this new building from me looking out my front door? And that was basically my only concerns. I do think that the neighborhood does need, the improvement, and I think, once again, it is a quiet neighborhood, and it is a nice
Are you
place to have
across
a
the
home.
street or next door?
I am next door to the north. So my setback also, I don't have my plans with me, but I believe it was 10 feet to the property line to the south. And now I see that it's 9.17. So relatively, I'm just looking for the same percentage that you're going to grant my neighbor that I, in the future, too, would like to have.
Well,
Because we both have the same size lot, and we're both in R10, and that's what's going to happen, because I know in the past that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Thank you.
well, there's no shed that I see on the property.
Okay,
right
well, we
now.
all know what's going to happen in the future, even though they have a garage, but I know how, porches become front rooms and things like that.
You're looking for us to allow 3,000 square feet?
No, no, no. No, according to you, 27% is what we should be able to live in. But I, too, went for around 32%. And not that it was denied, I just kind of held back on what I was doing because of the economy and everything. But I just want to have the same FAR, so to speak.
But you didn't come in for 30%.
No, I'm lower than 30%, actually.
But did you come in for a variance?
Yes, I did.
And you came in for what percentage?
I believe it was like 29. Very close.
Okay.
I mean, as long as we can both have the same amount, I'm okay with it. But I remember my square footage of the house had to be below 2,000 square feet. I don't know verbatim. I know I actually have plans in the office, but, because of the economy and because different things in my life have taken, I just held off and haven't been able to pursue me also expanding my house and making it livable as, common family. Attic space, deck, garage.
Well, we're going to have to see it. We can't approve it tonight.
Oh, I understand. I'm not looking for an approval. I'm just looking for a fair shake. If you're going to approve this builder, why not approve somebody that's been in the neighborhood 20 years, 25 years?
I don't understand your point. You want to come back here to build?
No, I didn't see a plan, and I was just curious if, if the town is going to allow him anywhere near 35%, that anybody in R10 zoning on that same block have the same setbacks and the same FAR. Don't you think that's fair?
Well, we usually look at each case as we try to be consistent, but we look at each case as an individual case.
That's understandable. But I could
okay.
see if both
Don't
properties...
forget the lot is only 6,250 square feet.
Right, as mine is as well.
Okay.
We're the same exact everything, except that from what I could see, now that I'm looking at it, his house is going to be much further in front of mine, but yet on a bit of an angle, it looks like.
No, that's the old house.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I'll show you.
That's okay.
It's not much.
It's basically very close to the plans that I had submitted, with a little bit of a change being to, because I was going to leave the front door the way it is. But I know that my FAR is definitely lower than this, this proposed plan. So I feel if he's approved at this 35%, then I should have no problem at my 30 or 32. I forget how we negotiated. It was eliminating my shed in the back because I was going to have the garage, so you needed me to take my shed away and remove my front porch from the plans to get it down to 30%. So I would love 32%.
Okay,
Okay? Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much. Have a good evening. Thank you for your time.
sure, come on up.
My name is, sorry. My name is Veronica Follo. I live right across the street.
Okay, spell your last name.
Follo,
Okay, and your address?
25 Locust Street.
Okay, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely. I have a couple of questions. What is an FAR?
Gross floor area, how
Okay.
large the house is going to be. how it's
Okay, and
measured.
an R10?
R10 means that it is zoned R10, so they have 10,000, usually they have 10,000 square feet. However, this lot, because it's been pre-existing, it's only 6,250 square feet.
Okay. I just want to, we would love to see a plan because when I called about the property, I was told there are 4 homes being chosen from, and whoever buys the house can choose from one of these 4 homes. This is what I was told by the real estate agent. Yeah, and anything would be an improvement. Trust me, we've been looking at this for a million years. Between the rats and the raccoons and everything else, anything would be an improvement. It's very nice. I like it. That's the only thing. And oh, is there any way that it cannot be 9 feet towards the south? Can it be over a little bit more from 12, I think it is?
They'd have to move the house, and then that would be closer. What do you mean? It's,
I'm sorry?
huh?
You can reflect on that. To
Yeah.
either shrink it or slide it.
No, I'm just asking. My other neighbor is very concerned because she's not used to having something so close. Very pretty.
Just made it even, so it would make sense. Looks better.
Anything is better.
See that? I mean, both sides right now, it's only 6 feet here, but I have 12 feet here.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
only a couple of feet. But
Right.
It's not gonna make much, but see, that's what it's like now.
So too.
It's not a big difference.
Can I have these?
Yeah, sure.
This is now, this is going to be?
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to close the hearing.
Just
Go ahead.
one quick comment. I just want to allay some of the concerns of the neighbors. I do believe, I'd be happy to meet with you after and show you exactly what we're building there. Whereas, we kept it as far away from the property lines as possible without compromising the aesthetic look of the house. You don't want something that looks super narrow. And as far as Mr. Deemer is concerned, I appreciate what he's saying. I don't think he came to the board looking for more. I'm sure the board is fair and would always look at everybody's application fairly. But we respectfully request that the board grant our application so we can get this property moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, do you realize there's no secret? So there's no decision,
Understood?
okay? Okay, all right. I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, they can clean these all out. Here you go. We are hearing Arthur Avenue, huh? David? Right, let me do it this way. Okay, I'll start reading. Mr. DeMarco? Okay. Case 1-16524, re-advertised, 155 West Main Street, Arthur Avenue, Smithtown. Location, northeast corner of Main Street and Elliott Place, Smithtown, property zone CB. Special exception to allow a 1,558 square foot outdoor dining area. Variance to waive the special exception standard to reduce outdoor dining to resident district from 150 feet to 95 feet. Variance to waive the special exception standard to reduce distance from curb from 10 feet to 6. Extend the hours of outdoor dining from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. Waive a special exception standard that requires adequate parking, buffers, and lot area. Variance to reduce parking from 74 to 25 spaces. Reduce parking setback from 6 feet to 0. Reduce truck loading spaces from 1 to 0. Reduce front yard setback on Fairview Avenue from 10 feet to 0. And reduce the rear yard setback from 3 feet to 0 for an existing 528 square foot garage. Increase the number of ground signs from 1 to 2. Reduce the minimum setback of ground signs from 5 feet to 1 on Jericho Turnpike and 5 feet to 4 on Fairview Avenue. Increase the number of wall signs from 1 to 2 and to permit 2 wall signs not to face a public street. Increase the maximum height of wall signs from 15 feet to 24 feet. Permit a roof sign, oh, that's it, and permit a roof sign.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. I've submitted the affidavits of posting and mailing to David Flynn. If you will recall, this case was on before. It didn't come to a hearing because we had some situations that we had to rectify, and the planning department was good enough to help us out with certain of the requirements that we had to deal with. I'm sure you're all familiar with this property. It's probably been around as a hotel and a restaurant for at least 100 years. We all knew it when we were young as Angelo's, and we would take our kids there on a Friday night to have pizza. Later on, it became Union Station, which was more of a bistro-type setting. And then finally now, our applicant is called Arthur Avenue. The special exception, the distance from a residence of 150 feet to 95 feet is really on an angle, and if you could see it on the map that's here, the restaurant is in this area and the outside dining is in this area. So It is 95 feet away from the nearest residence, but it's separated by a street called Fairview Avenue. There is a building on the site, a garage, which we're requesting another variance. That's probably been there for 50 or 60 years. We don't believe that the outdoor dining variance distance would have an adverse effect on the apartment buildings that are on the other side of Fairview Avenue. And you can see by this diagram that not only is there Fairview Avenue that separates the residential, but there's quite a bit of landscape lawn before you actually get to the apartment complexes. So we don't feel that that one situation would have an adverse effect on the neighbors. The outdoor dining to be 10 feet from a curb line, we're requesting 6 feet. That's basically because the building existed like that for many, many, many years. You might also know that Union Station had outdoor dining, I guess without the benefit of a special exception. This is, again, it's a restaurant, to use the word bistro or tavern type setting. So we are permitted under the SLA provisions to stay open till 4 a.m. And that's why we're requesting the variance to be increased from 11 p.m. To 4 a.m. Now, the other special exception standard requires adequate parking and buffers with respect to the lot area. And if you go down to the next request, we're requesting 74. The need is 74. We're giving 25 spaces. Wow, that looks like it's really substantial, and it is, except for the fact that we have municipal parking less than 100 feet, about 95 feet away from the subject property, so that it's a very short walk to the municipal parking, which you can see is here, and that's 3.5 acres of parking that isn't even used in the daytime, much less at the nighttime. So there is substantial parking available, and our ordinance allows us to use that municipal parking, and it allows this board to take that into account when we're requesting variances such as these. The required parking setback from 6 to 0, well, you can see the way it's been laid out. And again, this parking's been laid out this way for many years. The only difference is this strip next to the Long Island Railroad right away, we had our parking going right into that strip. And when Peter Hans looked at it from the planning department, he said, no, you better back it up, because otherwise we would be talking to Long Island Railroad for the next 50 years in order to get some sort of a variance. So we're staying off that piece, and we feel that's a better way to present the parking. Required front yard for an existing building, that's the garage that all of us have seen there for at least 50 or 60 years, and this is right here, right up against Fairview Avenue and pretty close to the Long Island Railroad property. The accessory structure in the required front yard, again, that's that same garage, and it was built many, many years ago, and the reason why we're asking for that variance, again, is because that garage is right next to Fairview Avenue. So we have the problem of the garage being in the front yard setback. Now, the wall signs, again, these are the pictures of the wall signs and the freestanding signs. If this were a place right on top of Main Street, not with a railroad trestle and trains running by, you might have some concerns about it, but in this case and where they face, we don't think that it would have any substantial effect on the neighbors, which are mostly commercial neighbors on the other side of Fairview. Not only is there an apartment building, but there's commercial neighbors to the west, and to the east there's commercial uses going east on Main Street. The increase of the height of the wall sign from 15 to 24 is really not substantial. Again, given where it is and the location of it, I don't think would have any effect on anything other than giving some visibility to the operators of the restaurant. Reduce the setback for the ground sign from 5 feet to 4 feet on Fairview Avenue. Again, everything is so tight on this parcel that really is the only place where it can be situated. And the other ground sign from 5 feet to 1 feet, of course, is on Main Street. And that sign, not that particular sign, but other signs, Union Station sign, and even before that, Angelo's, I think, was pretty much in the same position. Again, the way it's situated next to the trestle and the tightness of the property requires us to ask the board for that variance. Most of the stuff that we're asking for, most of the requests are necessitated by the original layout of the building and what it was for many, many years, most of which, at the time they built the building, they didn't have zoning in the town of Smithtown, and it was built prior to 1932. So we asked the board for its favorable consideration. We don't think it will produce a change in the character of the area. It's always been a restaurant, a hotel, a bar, tavern type use, as long as I can remember, and way before even I was born. That was, they used to call it the hotel. Let's go to the hotel, and that's from more old-timers than I am. So it's not something that has been put there recently. Whether the benefit can be acquired by some other means, this is a building. There's nothing much we can do about it. When my client came into this building, and he did a tremendous, well, I should say she did a tremendous amount of work to make this right. The building was needed a tremendous amount of repairs. They did all of that. Those type of repairs that were needed interior-wise, they got permits. These things we need variances for, obviously, because variances were never gotten prior by any other operator, as far as I know. Whether the required area variance is substantial. Well, it looks substantial, but you got to look at this site and where it is and why we're making the application. None of this would have any adverse effect on the community. So substantial is, in certain cases, substantial, but we don't think it's substantial in this case. Whether the proposed use will have any adverse effect on the environment, well, it's been that same use for many, many years. We don't think it will have any environmental effect. There's nothing different, basically, about the restaurant use from Union Station to Arthur Avenue, or from Angelo's to Union Station, and what was ever in between. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, well, I guess you could eliminate a sign or two, but I don't know what benefit that would be to anyone, not only to my client, but also to the community, because it is kind of a landmark, and it's a landmark that my client has spent substantial dollars to fix up and to use and continue to use as a restaurant. So we asked the board for its favorable consideration. Again, this is the municipal parking lot. If you've ever taken the train and you stood on the trestle and you looked to the west, there's this vast parking lot that's never used. It probably, I don't know, 3.5 acres, it probably at least would contain a couple of hundred cars. Why it's never used, I don't know. I guess there isn't enough need by the commuters or municipal parkers. There's another parking lot, but that has to do with the Long Island Railroad. I'm talking about the town municipal parking lot. So we asked the board for its favorable consideration. If the board has any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Okay. Mr. Tramarko, I have here in front of me the recommendation from the Smithtown Planning Department. That is a little bit different than this. Are you going with this, or are you going to with the recommendation? Because the recommendation gives you 34 parking spaces.
Well, if we can fit 34 parking spaces,
Am I
I'm sure
right?
we will.
Well, yeah, that's the newest one. I'm not sure if Mr. Tramarko is familiar with it. And I wouldn't, I don't want to mislead him. He shouldn't jump to say, yeah, well, let's go for it. Because, you know, just to be aware, it's showing the garage being eliminated, and they may not want to eliminate that.
I wasn't aware of this proposal.
Okay.
But it looks like, as David said, the proposal seeks to remove the garage, I guess.
Part of it. I mean, there were other, like, nipping and
You want to see
tucking
this one?
that the garage accounts for 2 additional spaces, but by reconfiguring the striping, you can get another few stalls. If it may help the presentation or the hearing, I'd like to just address the board
Sure,
on
of
this.
course.
Take a look at this.
Time.
Okay.